All right. I think we're good to go. Hopefully my mic is on. Let me know if I need to go any louder or quieter. But yeah, hello, welcome in everyone. Who do I see in the chat right now? Quite a few people. Hello, Pastel Lollipop. Hello, Drude. Hello, Pink Rose. Jessica, one of our lovely mods. Don't confuse her with me. um, hello, Witchy. Hello, Arcade Cubes, and hello, Gear or Anderson, whichever you prefer to be called by. Hello, welcome in. Welcome to everyone. Today, like it says on the screen right now, we're going to be learning about clothing folds. We're going to be talking a bit about that, how clothing folds work, how you think about them, all that fun jazz. Hello, Alyssa, welcome in, and hello, Lewis, welcome to both of you as well. Yeah, we're going to be talking about clothing folds, how you think about them. They're tough, I know. I love clothing folds. I love fashion. So we will be talking a bit about that, how to think about them, and how to work with them. Hello, Lucky Ducky, welcome in. But before we get started, you know the drill if you've been here enough. We got to talk a bit about the studio. So give me a second, because I realized I did something wrong. Okay, let's talk a bit about the studio. So, if you did not know, our growing community is filled with tons of art nerds, and we art nerds have to stick together. So, if you're an art nerd too, be sure to check out the links to our social media in the description below, and check out our website for our class offerings, where you can get critique, guidance, and encouragement from our instructors. Because we're not just a YouTube channel, we are an art school too. So, if you'd like to support us, we can keep making free content. Consider supporting us on Patreon for as little as $2 per month, where you can get access to tons of perks like my working files, critique sessions, and a huge discount on our classes that have a limited amount of spots. So be sure to check those out before they are gone. Oh yeah, we also have a members a members membership on our YouTube channel, so if you'd like to check that out, that is available as well. Hello, Alicia. Hello, Vian. Hello. Hello, Dark Animal. Welcome in, everybody. Learned so much from you. Thank you. I'm glad I could help. I needed this tutorial. I'm currently drawing clothes and struggling so hard. It's tough. It's a tough thing. Hello, Ninja Lighting. That's an epic name. Okay, there's quite a few people starting in today. Epic. Love to see it. All right, let's talk about clothing folds. So if you're kind of new to this stream, you don't know how these work, what you got to be doing is basically we're just going to be starting off with a lecture. I see a lot of new names, that's why I'm saying this. If you're new to the streams, we're going to be starting off with the lecture portion where I actually talk about what we are going to be learning, and then I'll jump into the final illustration, which you guys can vote on, which has already been voted on on our community tab. So I will be ending off the stream by drawing an outfit based in Tokyo street fashion. I'm slightly disappointed that steampunk did not win, but that's okay. It's probably better for everybody, just because steampunk takes forever. But yeah, let's talk about clothing folds. The number one thing that a lot of people say is like, I need to draw clothing folds, but the thing is, though, is that folds are different depending on what you're drawing. Very, very different. So folds are not as easy as just yes, it's fabric. It'll fold. Hello, Carmelian, welcome in. And yes, clothing folds. We're going to talk about folds. I love fashion. I love fashion so much. So we got to think about tension. Which is tightness or looseness. Is it thin or thick? How stiff is it? When I saw the pop-up for the live stream, I spammed it. Wow. Always a struggle for you, Jessica. Valid. It's so weird saying my own name, but like I know that's a different person. Everybody say hello to moderator Jessica and moderator Lisa. Say hello to them both. Spamming it just means like pressing it over and over. So clothing folds, right? Folds are not just as easy as yes, it's fabric to fold, right? That's part of it, not all of it. There's different things that you got to think about when you are thinking about your fabrics, right? Oh, also fabric. So we'll be going over texture a little bit as well. Fabric type. Actually, this is more like Is this more, oops, this is more like, yeah, there we go. So you gotta think about your tension, right? Whether it's tight or loose, what's the garment? Is it like spandex? Is it a knit sweater? So on and so forth, right? How thick, tight, or loose is it? Is it thin or thick? Again, is it jersey? If you don't know what jersey is, it's the same. It's very similar to the material of like a swimsuit. Is it jersey? Is it knit? Is it polyester? Is it chiffon, right? All those fun different fabrics that I'm naming off that you probably don't know, or you might not know, right? So depending on how thin or thick it is, that'll affect it, and how stiff it is, right? A suit will bend differently than pajamas, right? So you're gonna have to think of all those things when you're drawing your clothing folds, because based on the overall fabric type that is present, that'll change how the fabric folds, right? So you need to think about that texture. Hello, Sleepy Studios, welcome in. Yes, welcome in, everyone. There's a whole group of you today. A lot of you today. So let me draw my little test dummy, which is how I teach fabric folds usually. Now this is a very, very like simple breakdown of how very basic fabric folds would work. There's a lot more nuance to them. Obviously, I'm not going to talk about all that nuance. What is this? Oh, this is that's not just on my screen. That's that was actually on the thing. So obviously there's a lot of nuance to fabric folds. I'm going to be going over the very, very harsh basics, things that you want to kind of keep in mind when you're drawing your folds. Our little gender neutral test dummy. Oh, those legs are too low. Even when drawing a stick figure, I need to think about the anatomy. Okay. That's still too low, but whatever. It's getting more complicated. Ah, don't worry. Don't worry. It's not that tough. Okay. So here's a little test dummy. This is how I break down drawing all your folds. Where do folds go? Because sometimes when I see, I'm not going to write this down, but a lot of the time when I have students who are attempting folds for the first time, right, they either add too little or too many, right? It's never usually that. There's like a kind of, you know, what's it called? There's a balance that you need, right, in order to draw folds. Sorry, don't mind me. My mom got me Tim's. But you need to get like, you know, there's certain areas where folds will be prevalent, and certain things that will affect your fabrics that will make them prevalent within them, right? Whether it's the positioning of the body, or no, 99% of the time it's positioning of the body, or if it's outside effects, maybe it's very windy, right? A skirt will flow if it's very, very windy. We'll talk about skirts later. Right? You got to think of all that fun jazz. So where do folds go? You either have too many folds or too little. So let's talk about where they actually go. We're going to be using some color coding. Also, don't mind me. This is what I call them. They may have proper names, but this is how I teach them. If they do have proper names, let me know. But this is kind of how I teach them to kind of get your brain into it. So the first type of fold that I like to call bunching areas. The first type of folds is something that I like to call bunching areas. So your bunching areas are where limbs bend. I always make a bunch of triangles when drawing clothes. That's very, very good. Triangles are great for much stiffer fabric, thinner fabric. Not so great for super, super thick fabric. So we'll go over that. Like knit, triangles aren't great for knit. We'll talk about that. So bunching areas are where limbs bend. That is limbs bend or the body bends. So bunching areas will include kind of the midsection of the torso. So we're color coding it so you can see it on our little crush dummy. Where the elbows are, where the knees are. Right, those are our main bunching areas. Also kind of around the hips area as well. Actually, let's not put it there because we need it for another area. Digging the Animal Crossing style hands. I have gotten deep back into Animal Crossing. I was playing it for like an hour this morning. I'm playing it again every single day. I'm waiting to get the DLC once my semester ends, though, because I don't want to dive too deep right when finals are right around the corner. Right, so your bunching areas are where limbs bend. That's the 99% of the time where you'll see them. If I had to draw an example, let me just give you an arm real quick. Don't mind the glove hand. So if I were to draw, like, let's say that I had like a kind of a sweater, kind of a thicker cotton sweater, which uses loops more so for its fabric folds. See your bunching area. Oh my god, let's make this eraser huge. There we go. It's not fast enough. Like, you need to be bigger. So our folds would be kind of like right here, right? So that's where our bunching area is, because it's being bunched. It's bunching into the elbow because it's folding, or because it's bending. So that's kind of where our bunching area would be. That's same with like the knee. If the knee is bending, there will be some bunching there as well. If the torso is bending over, there'll be some bunching there too. Hello, Space Beazer, welcome in. Jessie, your mind is just Animal Crossing, Kirby, and analog horror. You know what? That's a very valid statement, Drew. Yeah, it's about right. It's not all analog horror. There's like body horror in there and cult horror, but you're about right. That's about right. All right. Next portion is the gathering area. Welcome back, Pastel Lollipop. Next area is the gathering area, which is where excess fabric gathers. So if you're wearing something oversized, if you have something kind of big, kind of loose, kind of hangs around, right? Your gathering area is where that fabric will bunch up, right? It's a gathering area. It's where your fabric gathers. So that's usually at the cuffs of the sleeves, hems of the pants, bottom of the shirt, right? Those kind of areas are where fabric will gather and bunch up at the bottom. So if we had like a pant leg, let's just draw the knee down. Hello, Manga Drawing 123. Hello, new here. Welcome, ready to learn new stuff and subscribe. Thanks so much. Thanks for your efforts. No worries. Oh no. Buoy? But I'm so sorry. I appreciate it though. We here at Wing Canvas appreciate y'all's support. Because we are a collective. We are a system. We are a hive mind. I'm joking, we're just a company. But your gathering area is where your excess folds will gather. Alright, so if you have the bottom of the pants, say if it's like sweatpants, your gathering area will be kind of down here. Because that's where all of your fabric gathers. So it kind of hangs limply, right? So we always want to include that for areas with excess fabric. Can I give tips for environment design? We have done a couple of background streams before. I can definitely keep environment design in mind, though. Maybe we'll do another stream about that. My main tip, if I had to give one right now, though, for environment design, would be to learn how to fill the space. Make sure you have your balance right, or you have good knowledge about balance and harmony, and unity, but also variety. Those are like the top 4 principles of design that I'd keep in mind. And obviously, you're going to need all your elements of art. But as long as you kind of have your balance number 1, harmony number 2, are the 2 principles of design that I keep in mind the heaviest when working on environment design. Okay, Oh, hello, Aku. Welcome in. Glad you could make it. And final portion of our little crash dummy. The final fold that we're going to be talking about real quick. Don't worry, this isn't the end of the lecture portion. That was only 15 minutes. We're going to go a little bit more in depth in this. Our tension areas. And that's where fabric can be pulled. These are the toughest ones. This is perfect for me at the moment. I'm struggling on making it look natural in a small comic panel, trying to do me. I remember, sorry, I'm gonna go off topic for a second. But let me show you where tension areas are. So I remember like I spent a good 4 hours with my friends. Because my comic, if you don't know what it is, I write a webtoon. And one of the panels, this was back when it was still uploaded to Instagram. One of the panels was like it had a shot of his textbook, and I was like, he's in 5th grade. He was in 5th grade. Now he's in 7th. I changed his age. But the main character, there was a shot of his textbook, his history textbook, and I was like, what do Canadian 5th graders learn? So I spent like a good 4 hours with my friends. We were researching about it. It was for a single panel, so I spent a good like 4 to 5 hours researching about 5th grade curriculum for a single panel. So that was pretty sick. So, you know, if you ever want to start a comic, I say proceed with caution. So, tension areas are where fabric can be pulled. Now, tension areas are tricky. The thing with tension areas is that tension is caused by any external force that is pushing, or that is pulling, or gathering, or taking your fabric and moving it, right? Your tension area can go absolutely anywhere on the body. And, you know, if you think of it, the olden times, basically, think of it like, say if you have your arm up, right? If you twist your arm, the motion of your arm twisting will affect the fabric that's attached to it, right? That's a tension area. Say if somebody's grabbing the front of your shirt and pulling it, that's a tension area. If you're like jumping and the force of gravity is pulling your shirt down, or if you're falling and the force of gravity is pulling your shirt up, that's a tension area, right? Your tension areas are affected by literally everything around you. So they can be difficult to figure out where they go. Don't worry, we're going to talk about that. So that's why tension areas are just completely colored in, because they literally go anywhere. If I was to draw a few, right, if I to give you the example, say if, I'll do a couple action ones, so say if somebody's shirt is being grabbed. I'm trying to get better at drawing without diagram lines, because like I can do it, I'm just not amazing. So let's say somebody's grabbing the shirt here. This is terrible action, but it's okay. It gets the point across. Right, so there's going to be tension there as it gets pulled in these directions. Or if, say if somebody's arms are raised, let me actually protect off on that bad boy, because these should be green. Ooh. Right, because then the forces are pulling the fabric upwards, so we need that kind of pulled tension in order to show that the fabric is lifting. The buff side characters wear small shirts. So true! That's how fashion works. What are you doing if that's not the case? That's a joke. I'm half joking. Okay. Tension areas where fabric can be pulled. So let's talk a bit about different kinds of fabrics now, right? So if we have this general knowledge in mind, right, where folds go, it's the bunching areas, gathering areas, tension areas, that's where the folds go in general. Right, so let's talk a bit about fold shapes. Fold shapes. I'm going to start with TLDRs because we're going to be going a bit more into that, but I'm going to start with TLDRs, which is less is more, and use reference. People hate me when I say that, but I'm going to say it anyway. Jessie, I thought you were going to teach me how to draw. Yeah, and guess what? Everybody uses reference when they learn. All right. So your fold shapes, right? TLDR, less is more, right? If you're working in a more cartoony style, you do not need to add in every single fold. Even if you're working in a slightly more semi-realistic style, you see this a lot with more semi-realistic anime art styles, right? They don't rely on line art for their folds. If there's a lot of folds in there, they don't rely on line art. They rely on color, right? So if you're drawing in a lot of folds and you want it to look more semi-realistic, do not use line art. Use color or value to show your folds. Do not use liner because it ends up looking really, really busy. Right? If I were to kind of just quickly draw in something, right? If we kind of have an arm right here. Right? That's too many folds. That's too many folds. Right? I see this a lot. They just kind of add more and they're like, yes, yes, more and more. That means it looks better. That's not the truth. That's not true. Right? Usually you want to have less, a little bit less. Who could hate reference? It's literally so helpful. It is. Some people, however, think that reference is cheating, and it's not. It's just the stigma that some people have. It's like, why are you looking at a photo? It's cheating, and they're losers, and you don't listen to them. I'm joking. Half joking. They're not losers, but you shouldn't listen to them. Alright, so if you have something a little bit more cartoony, stick to, like, very few amounts of folds, right? You don't need to worry about there being a crazy amount. So less is more. And if you're ever unsure, use a reference, right? They're there. Google Images is free. Right? Use a reference. Look it up. It's there for you. Exactly, exactly. Yes. Yes, sir. All right. So those are the TLDRs. Let me just make this bigger. Edit canvas size. There we go. Let's make this bad boy. Before anybody asks, yes, my cursor is Kirby. He normally walks, but OBS doesn't pick that up for some reason. So if you ever want to see him walk, join a secret stream on Discord. Me with my max amount of rolls. Glad I know. No, it's okay. I was exactly the same. Don't worry. When I started getting into clothing folds, just crazy amounts of folds. You don't need them. You don't. If there's too much detail, then it'll look like there's none at all. That's what an old professor of mine has said, and I have taken that advice. I will take that advice to the grave because it's so true. Too much detail means there's none there at all. If it's too busy, then you won't have anywhere that feels detail, you know? So, outside of the TLDRs, so thick and heavy fabrics. They usually use loops. Loops, you'll see those a lot with them. Thick and heavy fabrics will use loops. This, when I say thick and heavy, when I say thick and heavy, I usually mean knit. Yeah, knit's the biggest one. I'm trying to think of others. Not cashmere. Heavy cotton. Or fleece. Fleece is a good one. Oh, there's another one. There's a type of fabric that would fit in this. I don't know the name of it. Give me a second. I know what it is. I'm just gonna Google it real quick. It's like, I know what I'm looking for. Just give me a second. Sherpa. Sherpa? Yeah, Sherpa. Knit, heavy cotton or fleece, Sherpa. Those are all considered thick and heavy fabrics. Often you'll see them use loops. You'll see like stuff if it's bending, it'll use a loop, right? So if you have a very, I like to wear turtlenecks. I've been wearing a lot of knit recently. So loops tend to be with your bunching areas. So with your knit, you won't have very small folds. You'll have very large ones because the fabric is so much thicker that it doesn't have the capacity to fold in a much smaller space. So triangles are great for a lot of things, but in terms of thicker fabrics, you won't really have that many. Wow, you don't really have that many like thin looking folds. Why? Minibang is not having me today. Use reference for poses. Excellent, as you should. My brother was screaming by the vent and picked up downstairs. I thought some kids. Oh no. I remember when my brother and I used to do that. We tried to scare people. How about chainmail? They have folds sometimes due to excess. Chainmail is considered, if it's not technically fabric. The thing with chainmail is that it's metal. But usually if I had to think of chainmail, I'd think it would fold very similarly to a thin and stiff fabric, because chainmail isn't extremely thick. It is a stiff fabric, though. Fabric, quote unquote. So we'll get into that soon. Leather is considered a thick and stiff fabric. This is thick and heavy that flows a little bit. But yeah, we'll talk about stiff fabrics soon. So things you'll notice. Bunching areas. Are not as present. Folds are larger. So especially with like knit, you'll see it a lot with knit, right? Your folds are not going to be very, very thin, right? You'll see a lot of these thin kind of like triangular folds and say like t-shirts, cotton, stuff like that. Chiffon. You won't see it with knit. You won't see it with knit. You won't see it with heavy cotton or fleece. You won't see it with Sherpa. And that's because they're very, very big and thick, like I mentioned, and they won't fold the exact same way. So that's kind of one thing you want to keep in mind with those. I'm trying to lower these down to like 3 basic points, but in reality, you're going to have to blend a lot of these technicalities together. Like, who mentioned it? Drew mentioned leather. And the thing with leather is that leather will use a combination of the thick kind of thing and the stiff fabric that I'm going to talk about right now. Stiff fabrics. Things like jersey will kind of have, it's because jersey's a bit heavier, but it's not really thick. Oh, sorry, no, scuba gear. Scuba gear isn't quite jersey, but it's like scuba. I don't remember. It's not jersey. I don't remember what the fabric type is, but it's considered heavy but loose, so, or heavy and thin, because it's a heavy material, but it's not as like thick as say like knit. So it bunches. It kind of mixes this heavier fabric one, with it's heavy, but it's still kind of thin. So it kind of mixes those two principles together. But it also is a little bit stiff, so you need to kind of. It's a bit weird. Fabric has a lot of nuance. It's hard to teach it all in one go, so I'm trying to make it about as simple as I can, but it is tough. So stiff fabrics use a lot of triangles, sharp triangles. Oops. So this includes leather, polyester, Yeah, leather, polyester. Not that. Cashmere. Cashmere? Corduroy. Sorry, I'm thinking of corduroy. Oh my god, how could I forget? Denim. That's one everybody knows. What's cashmere? No. Yeah, what's cashmere again? Oh no, cashmere is considered thin. That's a thinner fabric. Thanks for the stream. Have any tips for traditional clothing like hanbok or samurai hakama? I know what a hanbok is. Hello, fancy dinosaur. Welcome in. Hanboks are considered more stiff fabric. Hanbok is a bit of a stiff fabric, but it's also quite thin. We'll go over thin fabrics after stiff. But especially more fancier clothing in general. More traditional clothing tends to be done with a lot of stiffer fabrics because you wanted them to hold their shape a lot. You see the same with traditional Chinese dresses, where they have a very stiff kind of fabric that holds its form very well. Some hanbok also use I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I'm sorry. But I think a lot of them use chiffon as well. Chiffon is very thin but still somewhat stiff fabric. So it will use a lot of those thin triangles, especially because it's thin. It'll have that ability to bunch very, very closely within itself. Think of here's a good way to think about it. Think of if you tried to bend a foam board versus trying to bend like an 8.5 by 11 like sheet of regular paper, right? That foam board is going to be trickier to bend than that sheet of paper because that sheet of paper is thinner. It has more room for you to like fold it in half. The foam board does not. It'll have that area because of its volume. It's harder to bend in half. Same can go for a lot of. That's what you need to think about when you're thinking of thinner fabrics. But because it's stiffer, it's harder to bend that as well. So stiff fabrics will use those sharp triangles because they have an easier time of finding those edges. That's kind of a way that you'd think about it. Over Thanksgiving break, I'll sit down and practice more. It's hard doing it with school, work, and going at once. So true. Yeah, Lisa's got it. So yeah, definitely the handbook. That's basically what I said. It have that very sharp creases and folds because it's a bit stiffer. Leather, polyester, corduroy, denim, etc. So they'll use a lot of sharp triangles. Right, sharp triangles. So stiff fabrics, the number one that I usually use is a suit. See, I used heavy cotton up here. Cotton and polyester are very, very polyester is considered like the low quality fabric. But you'll see it a lot. You'll see polyester a lot with cheaper suits. And the thing with polyester is because it is mostly plastic, so it's able to hold its shape a little bit better. Oh, here's a fun fact, by the way. I wasn't really going to go over this, but if you didn't know, men's clothing and women's clothing, when they're buttoned up, men's clothing and women's clothing, when they're buttoned up, the buttons are on different sides depending on if it's for women or for men. I believe with men's clothing, the buttons go on the left side. For women's, it goes on the right. So if you care about that stuff, there you go. All right, so this is a bit of a stick fabric. So you'll have a lot of thinner. This should kind of, no, because if it's not, yeah, no, not there. You get off next week, the whole week. Nice. Oh, do Americans get like a Thanksgiving week off? We don't get that. Our Thanksgiving is also before Halloween. So our Canadian Thanksgiving was a while ago. I do finish my first semester though on December 10th. So I'm done after that for a bit. So notice Tension areas. Not as present. If the fabric is thicker, folds are sharper. Men's on the left-hand side because they're supposed to do it themselves. Women's on the right because usually someone helping them get dressed. Fancy! I didn't know that. I didn't learn that. Now I know. Interesting, interesting. Lucky, instead I've got a 40-page assignment to do. Yikes. I've got a bunch of final assignments too, don't worry. I got a lot of drawings that are due on Monday. I'm pretending not to panic. So notice some things. With stiffer fabrics, leather, polyester, corduroy, denim, etc. These, you'll notice that tension areas are not as present if the fabric is thinner. If it's thinner, again, like a hanbok, or if you have like a button-up shirt, which is usually cotton, it's usually cotton or polyester. Sometimes you have corduroy, like if you have, or like with denim, depending on the type of denim, your tension areas will not be as present if the fabric is thicker. Right? If it's thinner, yes, they will be present. Because thinner fabric is very easily manipulated. But if it's thicker, then the fabric will not have as much tension areas. Think of a suit, right? Your suit, if the arm is pulled out, right? If the arm is by the side, because that fabric is very stiff, very heavy, you won't have a lot of those tension areas because you want the fabric to look sleek and to hold its pose. Basically, you want it to look constantly very, very sleek. It's why you have to iron it, because when you iron out polyester or cotton, it'll hold its shape, because it is a bit of a stiffer fabric. Polyester especially, because polyester is made of plastic mostly, so you want it to hold that shape, right? So if it is a bit thicker, especially polyester, you will definitely not have as many tension areas, and the folds are sharper. Again, think of trying to, if you had a scarf, say if you're taking that scarf, right? If you have it in both your hands, envision it with me if you can. I don't remember what it's called if you can't envision these things, but envision it with me if you can, right? If you have your scarf, you're holding it between your two hands, right? You can kind of manipulate it. Say if you move your hands up and down, right? It can kind of flow, right? If you're kind of bunching it up, if you kind of crinkle it up, right? You'll notice that those folds are very, very loose and thin. Do the same thing to a sheet of paper. The thing with a sheet of paper is that it's a lot stiffer, so it doesn't flow the same way. It'll crinkle. That's the same thing with stiff fabrics. Stiff fabrics will behave closer to paper than they will to, say, like a cashmere, like, scarf, right? So you want to kind of think of that, and that's why the folds are very, very sharp in comparison. Hello, Dak Toaster. Just realized you're using Medibang. Perfect, because I use that too. I use Medibang literally only for work. Most of the time I work in Photoshop or Clip Studio. But yeah, Medibang's great if you need like a free, nice alternative. Men's watches are on the left hand because of work, and most people are right-handed. That's where they went. Yeah, some of them were on the left as a protest identity thing. Interesting. Stay strong till it's due in like 5 minutes. Super true. A Fantasia. That sounds about right. Yeah, that's about right. It's Friday. You should be fine. Uh, I'm very busy on the weekends, so yeah, Fantasia. Got you. 666. Yeah. So unless you have Fantasia, just envision that with me. But yeah. And then thin fabrics. This is gonna be the last one. Thin fabrics will use thin, loose triangles and loops. It'll use kind of a combination of the two. So this includes thin cotton, cashmere, silk, chiffon, Oh, lace. What else? Thin cotton, cashmere, silk, chiffon, lace. I'm just gonna say ETC. So your thin fabrics, say a t-shirt. You know what? I'm just gonna use a regular shirt. I haven't used any pants, but those work too. It's just so that I can draw this a bit easier. Because I am better at the torso. I like my torsos. Why does it literally... It doesn't like it when I guess it's because it mimics it. That's super annoying, actually. That sounds horrible. Aphantasia? I think it's like... Because it's their, like, reality, I think they don't really mind. I guess it's just more difficult. There's a lot of artists who have aphantasia, so don't let the way that you perceive things affect you. I have a friend who's an incredible artist, and he's colorblind. So, you know, you are only a limit to yourself if you let yourself be the limit. That was a really dumb quote. I'm sorry. That's not how I'd word that. I'm trying to think while I while I draw. It's not working. So notice all fold types are very present. Folds flow. So with thin fabric, why the same pose is just wondering. It's mostly just to show the difference in the folds that are present. It's easier for comparison with each one. Yeah, example purposes. Fancy Dinosaurs got it. It's mostly just to compare and contrast. It's easier to compare when they're similar. Yeah. So you have a thought of thin, loose triangles and loops. So you're going to use both of them. So you have a lot of thin cotton, cashmere, silk, chiffon, lace, etc. So most of the shirts that you wear will be kind of thin, loose fabric, especially during the summer. If you're during the winter-ish right now, if you're kind of on the... Oh my god. If you're on the northern hemisphere, you'll have more... Northern? I think so. Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to think where is it where the seasons are. Yeah, it has to be north. Yeah, if you're on the northern hemisphere, right now you're probably wearing a lot of more thick fabrics, thick and heavy fabrics. Probably wearing a lot of those. If you're on the south, I'm trying to think of Animal Crossing. If you're on the southern hemisphere, you're probably wearing a lot of these right now, thin fabrics. A lot of your thin, loose fabrics are gonna have a lot of loose triangles and loops because they're thinner. Again, think of that paper. If you are trying to bend that foam board versus trying to bend that thin piece of paper, that thin piece of paper bends a little bit easier. So that's what we're thinking about with our thin fabrics. But notice that all fold types are very present, especially if you're working with very, very thin fabric. Chiffon is one of them, or silk is another. If you have those very thin kind of, velvet is a good one for thick and heavy fabric. But sorry, that went off topic. But if you have like those very thin, loose, flowy kinds of fabrics, absolutely silk is one of them. Chiffon's another. I was going to say tulle, but Toulle. Tulle is sometimes kind of like that, but it's a bit stiffer. So all those fold types are very, very present because the folds flow. The fabric flows. Think of it as like almost a slightly stiffer water when you're working with thinner fabrics because it'll flow, it bends, it moves very, very easily. Right, so that's kind of what you want to think about if your fabric is a little bit thinner. Let's make this a little bit longer because I have a couple things extra to add. Let's make this. This is going to be the last point. These are going to be the last points when I finish this part up. Imagine a fashion that has no folds. That's called that's cardboard. It's so like literally everything has folds. Like based on our anatomy, it'll have a fold or not. The only way that it wouldn't have a fold is if you got rid of all the. It's like the way that it wouldn't have a fold is if you like made it as thick as poster board, as like non-bendy as poster board, and wrapped it around our limbs where there are no bends and tubes. That's basically the only way that would work. I think my winter jacket will be the first one that you wear that's nice and thick. Yeah. If something is skin tight, will have no or few clothing folds. Bingo. So if it has, it's very, very like tight. If it's very, very skin tight, a lot of morph suits are made of jersey. So it's a very thin fabric. It's very, very loose. Because it's skin tight, it'll be very, very close to the body, therefore having a lot less. It'll be mostly made up of, there'll be no bunching. Absolutely no bunching. But there will be a lot of tension areas. It'll be mostly tension areas and slight bits of no gathering areas. That's it. There's going to be bunching areas, no gathering areas. A fair amount of tension areas. With no folds, wearing a box, basically. The MC comes in cardboards, I'd be scared. Me too. So final thoughts. Number 1, folds aren't parallel. These are just kind of afterthoughts. Folds aren't parallel. If you have a bent arm, right? You don't want your folds to look like that. No, sir. You're gonna want them to not be parallel. You don't want them to be perfectly aligned with each other because then that looks very, very unnatural. Number 2, I'm trying to go through this quick. Like, who was it? Who said that? Space Weezer. Like what Space Weezer said. Tightness affects folds. Tighter equals less gathering areas. Right, so tightness affects folds. If it's tighter, it means there are less gathering areas overall. There may still be quite a few tension areas. There may still be quite a few bunching areas, but overall, there will be less of all kinds of folds, but the tighter is, the less gathering areas it'll be. Right, if you're wearing a morph suit, there are no gathering areas because they will be molded perfectly to your body, so there's nowhere for the fabric to gather. But if you bend your arm or if you get yanked by that suit, you know there's going to be some tension or some bunching. Number 3. What was I going to say? Folds are parallel, tightness affects fold, tighter equals less gathering areas. And don't forget external factors. So that includes wind or weather. If it's wet or weight. Sitting or leaning on things. Wind especially, that's one that I find that everybody forgets about. If there is a heavy breeze and that person's wearing a skirt, right? If there's wind and that skirt's not moving, that's wrong. Right? I'm just saying, right? It goes same for hair, right? If there's wind, that skirt better be moving, dude. It better be moving. Yeah, final thoughts. Folds aren't parallel. Tightness affects folds. The tighter it is means less gathering areas. And don't forget external factors. Whether it's the wind or just weather in general. If it's wet, if it has extra weight, right? If your fabrics are wet, they are going to have a lot of tension areas because the fabric is going to be pulled down by the weight. Or it might be sticking to the body. So if you have like a white t-shirt or like just a t-shirt in general, it's going to be sticking to the body. So you're going to have different kinds of tension areas that are going to be tougher to draw. Or if you're sitting or leaning on things, if you're sitting on a chair, your pants will look different. Or your dress will look different, or the suit will look different, right? So if you have external factors, make sure you factor those in. Okay. Effects. Oh, wrong A? LOL, my bad. I need to remember those. My bad. I'm kind of zooming right now. Halloween costume. Rest in peace. Wearing a cardboard box. I'd be a potato. Love that. Fashion with no folds. A suit of medieval armor. Super true. Love to hear that. My bad. Hello, Geo. Welcome in. Geo's one of our lovely admin. Okay. I'm a writer. Gets effects and effects. Wrong. Anyway. So that's going to be our folds thingy. Hopefully that helped. Oh, that's the wrong button. My brain is zooming. I have been all over the place today. My apologies. Regardless, hopefully that helped. What we're going to get into now is the final illustration. So that's going to be for the last, hour. Only an hour? All right. Let's zoom, boys. We got this. I'm trying to work on smaller file sizes just for these streams. So if you are not new to the channel, if you didn't know, every week we do a little poll. Almost top of the hour, it is. Hello, Ella Likes Evie. Welcome in. Not too sure what you typed there, but hello. If you didn't know, you're kind of new to the channel. What we always do is we have little polls at the end of our, or like between our streams on our community tab. And what those polls do is it decides what I will be drawing for next stream. This time around, we voted on what kind of fashion I would be going for. I went with and you guys voted on Tokyo Street, so I'll be working with Tokyo Street fashion. I have a Pinterest window open right now to kind of stare at stuff to figure out what I want. Okay. The thing with Tokyo Street is that Tokyo Street is very, very, A, non-gender conforming, B, very, very intricate. And I really love Tokyo Street. I'm a really, really big fan of it. Okay. Let's see what I'm going to be working with here. A fellow spud. A fellow spud. Yes, indeed. I have a friend whose online handle is, oh, actually, I shouldn't say that. Something related to potatoes, so whenever I hear stuff about potatoes, I think of them. So I'm going to be doing a kind of outfit that is, again, inspired by Tokyo Street. I shouldn't focus on the face immediately. I should focus on the full pose first, like my TA taught me. Like the TA taught me. Bless his soul. I do tend to draw men more. That's just a thing that I do more. I had a lot of younger students that go like, "You're a girl, why do you draw men more?" And I'm like, good question. I never have an answer for them. Yeah. I usually like to get the whole pose in there first before I actually move on to the outfit or anything. Actually, normally what I do is I finish the entire face first and then I go on to the pose, but I'm forcing myself to unlearn that. Man is pain. Lots of people don't like drawing men. I prefer drawing men. I like the sharpness. Can't draw their muscles. I spent a good 2 years focusing on nothing but muscles. And it's become so ingrained in me that drawing anybody who isn't with a slightly athletic build is tough. I'm much better with athletic builds now. Like a more quote-unquote ideal sort of body type. That I struggle with more normal body types. So I'm like, I need to relearn. I need to relearn these things. Because I spent so long focusing on muscles. And every day I'm like, okay, I gotta get better at muscles. In reality, I gotta get better at drawing very average looking people. Not my forte. Actually, what I've been doing a lot more of is life drawing, and the reason for that is because of school. But I've been having a lot of fun. I missed life drawing a lot, and it's just a lot of fun. If you've never done life drawing before, highly recommend it. Even if you're not going in with a live model, there's a lot of websites that do life drawing. How'd you learn for 2 years? Do you watch YouTube? No. I taught myself. A lot of it is just looking at photos, kind of figuring out what I'm looking at. My process is usually, this is just gonna be like a random character, by the way. I don't really have anybody in mind. My thought process is usually, like, if I see something, I go, okay. I look at it for a bit. I kind of stare at it for a good, like, 2 minutes and try to understand what I'm looking at. And then I go, okay, let's go. And then based on, like, that new knowledge I've absorbed, I try and draw it. That's how I learn, is, like, I just need to absorb what I'm looking at, and then I figure it out from there. I don't watch tutorials. I read tutorials sometimes, but only if it's for, like, mostly if it's just for functions of a program, not necessarily, like, anatomy or anything. But I like to read a lot of tips. Actually, I don't read them, because usually they're in Japanese, but because I can't read Japanese. But again, it's usually pretty heavy anatomy, so on and so forth. Every time I watch your streams, Jessie, I draw something. Today I'm drawing a wolf in a shirt. Very nice. Love that for you. Watched a Mark Rober video in science today, and the subtitles were in Arabic. Arabic. I know what you meant. That's not how you spell it, but I got you. I'm not gonna attempt just in case if I get it wrong. But oh my, I'm assuming that if I don't think you can speak Arabic, I'm taking a stab here, guessing that you can't. So that probably wasn't very helpful. It's hard to guess the muscles, right? You shouldn't guess them. You should always look up a reference. Reference is your best friend. Guessing muscles will only mean that you're going to get them wrong. So it's usually better if you actually look at a physical reference. I highly recommend, if you are a beginner, don't use illustrated reference, use photo reference. I use a lot of illustrated reference now because I can identify when it's wrong, or when it's wrong or when it's right. But try to, or a lot of my approaches nowadays are very stylistically chosen rather than accuracy chosen. But make sure that you're using photo reference, because there's always a chance with non-photo reference that it could be wrong. So be sure that you are picking the correct kind of reference for what you want. And always use photos, because photos don't lie. Or they don't lie in terms of anatomy. They lie sometimes, but you can't get anatomy wrong if it's a person that's right in front of you. So the anatomy's not wrong if it's a real person. So it's always better to use photo reference compared to illustrated reference. One of my friends sent you a Ghibli related meme. It's only because of all the stuff I hear on the stream, but I got it. Excellent. I'm glad that we're influencing you, Softiness. We got a question on Discord a little while ago, and it was like, is nude modeling the only way that you can practice anatomy? No, but it certainly helps. I think that's the number one thing that I'd say. It is certainly one of the better ways, just because you get to see the full body in its full form. You get to understand what you're looking at. Obviously, you know, it's a little bit uncomfy if you've never done it before, right? You've never done life drawing before. Once you kind of get used to it, though, it is literally like, it's super, super helpful, is what I'm trying to say. But absolutely, like, you can study with, like, if the person is wearing a morph suit, which is like skin tight, that also helps. Just as long as you can get those forms in there, that helps a lot. What I don't like is that I have to use this. Ooh, not bad. All right. Yeah, actually, that's pretty good. I don't need to fix anything. Nice. We're good. We're good. Illustrated reference bad, photo reference good. Not always. But if you're just starting out, it's tougher to identify what's good and bad. What's good illustrated reference, what's bad illustrated reference. So when you're just starting out, it's always better to use nothing but photo reference. Like obviously there's some illustrated reference that's like perfect and it's wonderful. But if you're trying to go for accuracy, illustrated reference is not always the best way to go. What is it, the study thing you just mentioned? I didn't get the name. Life drawing. Life drawing is it's a very traditional way of studying anatomy. What life drawing is it's a way for you to, it's studying the human form, basically. So you'll have a model right in front of you, life model drawing. You'll have a model in front of you, and they'll do poses, timed poses. So you won't have ages to draw them. You'll only have a very, very short amount of time. And the shortest time that I've drawn for a live model drawing was 30 seconds. So you get 30 seconds to draw the entire model, and then you move on to the next pose and you're done. It's tough if you've never done it before. I am a huge fan of how tough it is. Live model drawing is like the best study practice that I get, for sure. I'm trying to figure out how this is going to work. So there's going to be some, because of how this fabric is falling around the arm here, it's definitely falling throughout the entire body. This is a bit more tight, so it's sticking here, but I'm actually going to adjust because I want these to be pants that are very, very loose, but not gathered at the bottom. When pants are below the hips, this is called drop crotch. This is a very streetwear type of fashion I'm a very big fan of. I would never wear it just because it doesn't look good on me. But I do like it when I see it on other people. I feel like it's meant for taller people. That's why I'm not very tall. Life drawing online? Yes, there is life drawing online. You can find a lot of it online. Life drawing online is definitely not as good as life drawing in person. It's just not as fun. I think that's just that's the main point that I make. It's not as fun. But it is absolutely online. There are free resources that you can find for like timed life drawing. There's a link. There's the website that I use all the time for when I teach students. But I don't remember where that is. I know that Faye probably knows where it is. Lovely studio director Faye probably knows where that is, but I'll share it in the Discord if I remember. It's getting so dark. I need to turn on a light. Street fashion is cool. Yeah, it is. Jessie, you have any tips for getting into art commissions? Ask yourself the main question, do you have enough time? And if you don't, then don't do them. Don't get into commissions just for the sake of it. Like getting money. Obviously you want it for money purposes, but they take a lot of time to do. Okay, this is going to be a bunching area because it is resting on top of the hand. Remember, external factors. So this is an area where the fabric folds over top of the hand here and falls down. If it's Japan, we have belts and straps everywhere. That's a little bit more steampunk. Sometimes they do have a lot of belts and straps. It's a little bit more steampunk, a little bit more tech-weary. I'm not doing tech-wear. I'm doing Tokyo Street. Tokyo Street's a little bit different. It's considered the most it's like the gender-neutral kind of fabric, or gender-neutral kind of fashion style. Tech wear has a lot of those belts and straps, though, for sure. Oh, I wonder if people thought that I was going to do techwear when they voted for Tokyo Street, because Tokyo Street is not all techwear. Some of it is, but techwear has also become very Americanized as well. Tokyo Street's a bit different. They call it the genderless fashion style. Yeah, I wonder if people were expecting me to do techwear. That's not what I was going to do. I didn't put cyberpunk for a reason, because I knew everybody would want it. I like cyberpunk, but it can get boring. Yeah, commission sheet, go for a pricing sheet, start promoting on social media. Granted, it'd be best to start by sharing your own art first, building an audience before opening commissions, but like, no time like the present. Super true. Lisa's got it down. Yeah, commissions are tough. I've been doing commissions for a while. I have a character design commission that I've been working on as of late. But yeah, price yourself accordingly. Look up tutorials, have a thing. Thing. What's the name of it? Oh gosh, I don't remember. Anyway. No worries. Art crimes I shall do. Art crimes! My favorite. That techwear when I voted Tokyo Street. Yeah, I'm assuming everybody thought techwear. Yeah, no, techwear is not what I was going to do. Techwear is definitely part of it, but that's not Tokyo Street. That's why you should always look up what I post in the... what I post for the polls. I always advise people of that. Before you vote immediately, Google it. Explain it? Like explain techwear? I just did. Or explain Tokyo Street. Which I also just did. Yeah, I'm assuming that most people thought I was gonna do techwear. Techwear isn't all Tokyo Street. Yeah, most people do think of techwear when they think of Tokyo clothing. Because techwear is definitely does have Japanese roots, but it has become very, very Americanized as of late. Or westernized, that's the term. I'm trying to say it keeps getting redacted. Oh no, Drew deletes his messages a lot. That's okay. It just happens. It just happens. Is it fun? Is what fun? Sorry, I don't remember what I was talking about. Whenever I start speaking, it goes in one ear out the other. So apologies, you may need to reiterate. I do love techwear though, don't get me wrong. I have quite a few techwear pieces myself, but I am definitely like, in terms of like what's more fun to draw, Tokyo Street 100% I think is more fun to draw. I had a really big cyberpunk and techwear obsession when I was a bit younger. Now that I've gotten older, it's like, I love Tokyo Street. I love cottagecore. I love very modern clothing. The clear bottom platform shoes, I'll think about it. Have a little goldfish swimming in the platforms? Oh, that means that I'll have to change the palette I had in mind for this. Okay, now I'll see. Before we get going with that, though, hey, it's a little bit over top of the hour. So let's talk a bit about the studio. If you're new to this channel, there's a few new people in here. If you're new to this channel, you don't know too much about us. We're not just a YouTube channel. We're also an art studio. We're an art school. So if you'd like to check out the classes that we offer, be sure to check them out on our website, waynecanvas.com. Check out the classes. Winter camps are coming up. I am one of the instructors. If you'd like to take the courses that we are offering, I will be teaching illustration for an entire week. So if you'd like to join us there, hey, sign up. Get some guided lessons. This piece that you see in front of you, along with the lesson, both of these will be available as JPEGs on the Discord. So if you haven't joined the Discord yet, be sure to do so. Sometimes we have secret streams. Join us for the secret streams, and you can turn on your mic. Talk with me, dude. Let's have fun. Let's vibe. But yeah, join the Discord. Meet other fellow art nerds. Post your work. Get some critique. Get some encouragement. We're very positive on there. So join the Discord. Join us. And if you have, but these files, this one especially, will have a fair amount of layers. So if you'd like my working files, you're going to have to join our Patreon. And our Patreon is where you're going to get access to a lot of my working files, if not all of them. Some of them that have been posted in the past as well, you'll have access to. And that way you can download them, keep them safe, and do whatever you want with them, and the working file will be right there for you. So if you'd like to study off of what I do, support the channel. Minimum of little, as low as $5 a month, you'll get all my working files. But, alright, let's just keep going then. Hello, Salty! Welcome in! Where would I post the art if I wanted to build an audience? Yeah, any art platform. DeviantArt is definitely like when you're just starting. DeviantArt is great for beginners. It's a wonderful, welcome community. They're a bit weird on there. Whoops. They're a bit weird over there on DeviantArt, but for sure, if you're not into dealing with the weirdness of other other platforms, definitely recommend DeviantArt. More popular places are like Instagram, Twitter, those kind of fun jazz. The thing with DeviantArt is that you're going to get a weird reach if you're on there, I think. Crying on mic because no techwear feels good, man. Sorry, man. I've been drawing a lot of techwear lately. I needed something new. The Witcher camp better not be hard, Jessie. It is a teen intensive. Mine are teen intensives. So if you're taking my classes, it's going to be very tough. My camps are very tough. I like to run them very tough. I myself am not tough, but the lessons are a bit more tough. Not as weird as those cats in canvas, I'll tell you what. You know what? That's very valid. I vibe with that. Hello, Chipster Camarillo. I'm probably asking something that's been asked before, but did you find it intimidating switching to digital from traditional? I started on a blank screen, but not on paper. Yes. When I was a very, very heavy traditional illustrator back when I was a kid. I started illustrating digitally for the first time when I was 13. I knew absolutely nothing. I am the type who really loves challenges, though. So jumping from traditional to digital was very, very fun for me. It is extremely different, though. Nowadays, I'm trying to get back into traditional for school. It's very, very tough because I'm very rusty with it. But yeah, it is a bit more difficult. I started traditional. So, oh, sorry. Yeah, I started traditional. So I switched from traditional to digital. Yeah, now going back into it, it is a little bit more difficult because I'm like, man, I wish I had all those shortcuts. But my best piece of advice would just be to jump into it. Don't think, just do. If you let yourself get caught up on it too much, then you're gonna psych yourself out, and it's just not worth it. So just jump into it, you'll be fine. Have I made an animation before? I used to go to college for game art, so yes, that used to be one of my programs that I had to do. I hate animation. I'm I'm not good at it. No, that's a lie. I love animation. I love everything about it. It's beautiful. I love animators. My best friend's an animator. I myself, though, cannot do animation very well. I know the principles. I know the things that you need to do animation, and I am not patient enough. Like, all in all, I am just not patient enough for animation. The undo button's my favorite part of digital art, basically. I've actually tried to train myself not to use the undo button too much. I like to do stuff in single strokes just because I can work faster. But, Medibang is something that I definitely use the undo more in because I'm not as used to the program. It is definitely something that I'm like, well, this is my reality now. These very stylized lines I've been getting into just for, like, messier work, just because I'm starting to kind of experiment a bit more, especially with the pretentious art school that I go to. No, I will not say the name of the pretentious art school. But you can take a wild guess, but I will not confirm or deny. But yeah. I've been doing some concept art digitally as a hobby. Nice, yeah. Digital work from traditional, going from traditional to digital is intimidating. Going vice versa is also intimidating. Yeah, just jump into it. Have fun. Try not to think too much. Animation truly is the test of patience. Super true. Super true. I love to tell my students, I'm like, when they tell me, like, I want to be an animator. I'm like, do you? You sure? Do you want to be an animator, or do you want to be an animator because you like watching cartoons? I'm like, how patient are you? Are you willing to draw the same thing over and over and over for 4 hours? Like, all art is very soul crushing. It really is. You gotta love it to do it. But, you know, I love it. So, like, I'm willing to crush my soul for it. Not very encouraging, but the truth. No worries. Digital art's great. It's only digital that we see the whole graphic design is my passion thingy. Super true. I mean, some traditional artists are very graphic design is my passion as well. Did you get that from me? Did I get what from you? Oh, from you saying that you want animation? No. I've had a few other students. I've had some people ask for advice as well. For those who don't know, I used to teach Drew. But yeah, no, I've asked a lot of students that question before. It's like, are you sure you want to do that? Animation especially. I always say that with animation and game art. They're like, I want to go into video games. As somebody who was there, I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure? So this one I've added some extra kind of folds in the front here. These are tension folds, and when something is a bit tighter, it may have tension that pulls across the chest. So you're going to want that in there. If the chest is a little bit wider, the fabric may have tension in front of it. Why does he have a leash thing? A choker? That's a type of necklace. I wear chokers all the time. Make digital art from a mouse. Sheesh. I could never. I have a friend who makes digital art for a trackpad, and I'm like, man, I no, absolutely not. My wrist would die if I tried, but I commend you. If you can make it look good with a mouse, hey man, incredible. I could never. The mouse is painful. Super true. Tiny canvas animations with a mouse. Sheesh. Yeah, absolutely not. Never. To want to make art, you need to have a lot of ideas and inspiration. To want to continue art, you have to turn your brain off and get on the grind. Very true. If you're working for somebody else, absolutely. If you're working for yourself, you need to be able to do both simultaneously, and then it becomes that's when it becomes extremely soul crushing. It also depends on the type of art you want to get into. Some artists have a very, very cold view of art, where it's literally just an improvement grind, absolutely nothing else. I mean, like, sometimes it's just, get better, get better, get better. And there's no self-expression behind it. It's all just do it for the grind, which is fine. To each their own. I could never do art for that reason. I like to have a bit of both in mind. Do it for the grind and for self-expression. I could never do art in a way where it is improvement only. That kind of it'll ruin art for me. A lot of the times I do stuff based off of like my mood. A lot of the times I do stuff if it's fun. A lot of my instructors have said, like, a lot of my profs, every single time that I have a critique and like the work is a little more conceptual, they're always like, your work is so playful. And I'm like, yeah, it's because I want it to be fun. art is a very fun thing to me. I could never kill off that fun for myself, you know? But some artists have, right? They kill off the fun just to do it for work, right? It's a job. It's nothing else to them, which is fine, you know, to each their own, but I could never do that for myself. Some people have it as pure self-expression. They don't have any, like, very traditional kind of technical skills, right? They don't really care about anatomy. Not a huge. They don't really care much about like the very traditional aspect of artwork, which is also fine. You know, pure self-expression versus pure grind. A lot of artists will have a bit of a mix of both. That's what you'll see in a lot of industry artists, industry indie artists. You'll see a lot of that. But yeah, it's weird. Art is very weird. It's very tough. I remember doing my first digital coloring with a mouse some years ago. It was rough. Okay, it's a talent. Debatable. Sometimes people say that art is a talent. Some people say that it's skill built up. I know that lovely Faye, the director of the studio, hates the word talent. She always says that it's a skill. It's something that can be built. Anybody can learn it, which is true. Anybody can learn art with enough skill and testing. I'd have to disagree just slightly. Some people do have a very some people may grow up with a stronger aptitude for art compared to others. But that isn't to say that the people who don't start off with that aptitude can't get better than the people who worked hard, right? One of my favorite things that I heard somebody say, I don't know who and I don't care who, was like, hard work beats talent unless talent works hard, right? It's that, like, that idea, like, yeah, talent exists, but if you don't do anything to, talent can only get you so far. Which I agree with. I think I agree with that a little bit more. But that's a pretty heavy debate. Can I play Call of Duty with a tablet? Absolutely not. I hate COD. Remember animating with trackpad a few years back. Yeesh! Never. Yeah, you were on something else. Absolutely not. I like your line art. Thank you. I'm playing with a messier look. I'm very clinical with my lines. Like, I'm trying to be a little bit more loose with them this time around. I'm working on drawing of Kyle and my OC in the winter is what I wear for winter. Very nice. Love that for you. I should draw the Grayson cast in winter here. I haven't done that yet. As Kyle drink Monster Energy and punch holes in walls. I have no idea how people can do art and not put any feeling into it. Exactly. Some people are very, very clinical when they work, right? It's like the same as doing a, what's it called? Like a accounting job for them. I could never do that. I'm very, very, like they always say to not put yours, some people say to like not make art too personal, especially when you're in the business, but like I can't do that. I'm very emotionally driven. The type of art that I want to do is very, very emotionally driven. Even my comic, it's very, very emotionally driven, right? I've been told that I have a very idealist mindset when it comes to artwork, which is, you know, fair enough. Seeing food in cartoon anime, literally. Do you know how bad? No, wait, okay, sorry, off topic one more time. I love Howl's Moving Castle, I love everything to do with Ghibli. I had, like, you know, like, when the scene in Howl's Moving Castle, when they have, like, the breakfast, and, like, there's that thick bacon, and, like, the eggs, and I had thick bacon when I was in Ottawa. I've always said that I wanted to eat that thick bacon very, very badly, and we went to a steakhouse in Ottawa, and they had that thick bacon, and I was like, first of all, they had bone marrow. Now I love bone marrow. But they also had that thick bacon, and I was like, I need that thick bacon. So I tried. You don't. It was a religious experience for me. That bacon was so good. It was, like, delicious. So yeah, now every single time that I see that, like, Ghibli food in particular, is on something. For sure. What does indie mean? I heard a lot for art and movies. It's like a small creator. Yeah, small creators, small studios. So, like, consider, like, Marvel is not an indie studio. Marvel is a AAA studio, so that's considered like a very, very large, intense studio. Indie can be just like a single creator. Maybe it's a very, very small dev team. I believe that the game Hades is an indie team. So that one, that's considered indie. Night in the Woods is indie. What other? Oh, Undertale is indie. That's something people probably know. Undertale's an indie game. But yeah, if it's like an independent creator. Indie is short for independent. So when it's an independent creator, that's indie. Oh yeah, Lisa got it. Basic creators aren't working for studios or companies. It's either not working for studios or companies or working for a very small company. Yeah. Technically, Wind Canvas is an indie company. Yes, Sakti got it. Undertale's indie, Call of Duty is AAA for sure. Yeah, that's true. I love how you did the bracelets. Never thought of it. Thank you. Yeah, if you ever have, that's a tip for a lot of things. If you ever have something thin that you have to do like line art for, that can go for bracelets. It can go for chains. It can go for branches. Right. Draw it first, like just completely blacked out, and then use the eraser to pick out the shape. Toby Fox, my king. Love Toby Fox. The way that he markets is so funny. I love people who can market their stuff very well. Yeah, Undertale and Deltarune. I still need to play Deltarune. I've played the first chapter and I haven't gotten around to the second one. Maybe I'll play that on the break. I told myself I was going to play it over reading week. I ended up not doing that, and I ended up focusing on other things over the reading week. Actually, no, I completely blanked for reading week. Reading week was a very, very strange week for me, actually. All right, I'll do the clear heels. Now that I'm thinking about it, I want to work with the palette that I have in mind. Let's work with a CMY complimentary. Oh my god. There we go. Morning. Good morning to you. It's the night where I am right now, but if it's morning for you, good morning. Will do. It's an amazing trick. Oh yeah, it's super good. I love that trick so much. That's one trick that I've been like, I use all the time. I have a chain brush in Photoshop, so I don't do it for chains quite as much. I only use the chain brush if they're very, very lazy chains though. I will actually just draw the chain link by link if I need it to be intense. But for stuff like bracelets and whatnot, yeah, definitely. You know what? Just to make it a bit more out there, and also so I don't have to draw laces, I'm gonna make these Velcro. Also because I just like drawing Velcro. Velcro, honestly, is just it's better design. Not gonna lie, like I get it, I get laces, but like convenient design, dude. I don't care if it if it comes undone easier. Velcro is based. I love Velcro. I don't wear any Velcro, but I love Velcro. Oh, you know what I've been listening a lot of too? Porter Rob. I've been listening to a lot of Porter Robinson. And like every single time that I get back into Porter Rob, because I love the new album Nurture. Nurture came out, I think, earlier this year or last year. I think it came out last year, yeah. But I'm listening to Nurture again, and like every single time I'm like I cry a little bit because I want to go see it. I want to see a Porter Robinson set really badly. He is thinking of touring worldwide, so you know, pretty high chance it'll come to Toronto. So I'm like, please, please. Clear sold platforms with glitter water. I'll see what I can do about that glitter water, but I'll give you clear souls. Velcro's superior. Velcro's superior to all of the shoe designs. Velcro's for little babies that can't tie their shoes. I wear like no Velcro, but I love Velcro. Just because the shoes that I love are like non-Velcro, but 100%. Yeah, I'll see what I can do about that glitter water. But here, your clear souls. I'm gonna probably. Should I rely on color for these? Maybe. We'll see. I'm just lazy and impatient. I refuse to tie my shoes. That's very valid. See, what I do, epically, is like I don't undo my shoes ever. Oh, I forgot the other arm. Oh well. I just don't undo the laces. So I just slip them on. I don't care if it's not a slip-on shoe. I will slip them on. If my feet will allow. I do have some heeled combat boots that like I can't slip on, but if I have the ability to, like my Vans, or sorry, not my Vans, my Fila's, I have these really cute pastel Fila's that were a pain to get, by the way, because UPS kind of messed me up. But yeah. Me too, yeah. Exactly. Salty's got it. Just loosen up so you can get your foot into them without undoing it. So true. Slip foot in, slip foot out. Easy as that. 100%. 100%. Exactly. I haven't seen any Velcro shoes in years. Actually, that's true. I haven't seen a Velcro shoe in a very long time. I do have a lot of young cousins, though, so they wear a lot of Velcro. Because they're all, like, under the age of 10. So they're all, like, they all wear Velcro. Trying to figure out the logistics of what I'm drawing. That's okay. Don't need to think. No think, just do. That's what I tell my friends when they're like, I don't know, it's like, how do you draw all the time? I can't figure, it's like, my brain tells me not to draw. I'm like, listen, shut your brain off. No think. Put on a podcast so your thoughts can't get in. No think, just do. You gotta get it done, you gotta get it done. Especially for assignments. Sometimes you're just like, bro, I can't do this. And you're like, no, listen, you have to. You don't have a choice. You just gotta do it. Unfortunately for Illustration University, I do have to turn my brain on for some stuff, because they're like, you gotta think of the iconography and the whatever you're trying. How does this topic make you feel? What's your cultural zeitgeist? That's something I've been told. So on and so forth. The joys! If you get a Velcro, you might as well have shoes light up too. Heck yeah, dude. Remember when that came back for a bit? My brother got light up shoes when that was a trend for a bit. No think only do. What year was that? That was like, it was back when Vine was still a thing. I want to say 2016, 2015-ish, when light up came back. Dude, I miss that. I almost bought a pair of light up shoes, but they never came in my size because I had adult shoe sizes. And the only adult sized, like, only adult sized shoes that lit up that I could find were, like, online, and I didn't want to pay for shipping. Sounds soul crushing, the school project part. Oh, absolutely. Art school is, like, not for the faint of heart. As somebody who's been to 2 art schools, it's not for the faint of heart. Yes, fish. Fish are so, like, brain off. They're great. I'll now forever ask every artist ever how their piece represents their cultural zeitgeist in effort to appear smarter. You may not want to do that. Cultural zeitgeists are like what like a modern cultural zeitgeist. It's like what's going on in the world right now. Not every artist likes to draw for that. Some of them are like, it's like, how dare you say that to me? Poor fish, they're not real. Don't worry. See the little tabs that are on them? They're fake. It's like they're being held up with little poles. They're false fish. I would never do this to a fish. As a proud fish owner, never do this to my fish. Halcyon has been alive for 3 years. He's getting old, but my fish before him was about 5 years old when he passed away. So I'm a big fish lover. When I draw, the only thing I can think of is Markiplier's Phasmophobia streams. I've actually never watched one of his streams. I've watched the videos afterwards. I love the one where it was like, when Jack and Wade left him in the house, and you can just hear him screaming from outside. That one was funny. I love that one. Cyborg fish? Oh, perhaps. I colored on one of my sketch layers. It's too late to go back. No. You could always just, like, lasso tool it or wand it. Fish in perspective. False fish in perspective. Foreshortened false fish. Fake or skewered. They're fake. They're fake. Just to appease the others. I've not seen anything like what you're drawing right now. It looks so darn cool. Thank you. You've never seen the clear shoes? I want a pair of clear platforms pretty badly. And then I want to get those, like, fake babies. You know, the little, like, plastic babies? I want to get a bunch of those and stick them into the shoe. Because it's kind of an aesthetic. You know, it's kind of an aesthetic. I kind of vibe with it. I feel like I'd do great with Tokyo Street if I was to wear it. Does Medibang have a modified shortcut key like Control Alt Shift like CSP? I'm tempted to try it out with CSP's shortcut. It's such a heaven set. Yeah, Medibang has shortcut changes. I would not switch from CSP if you're going from CSP to Medibang. I wouldn't do that. CSP is highly superior to Medibang in almost every way. Medibang is pretty good, but compared to like Clip Studio or Photoshop, it's unmatched. Photoshop and Clip Studio are like the two best drawing programs you can get. So I wouldn't switch. You better make them goldfish crackers. I'll be satisfied with nothing less. I was gonna make them orange, so hopefully that'll appease you. I'm gonna be working with a split complementary. I'm kind of vibing with it. Oh, nice. Nice and closed layers. That's what I love to see. I love to see it, boys. Oops. Turn that to layer. Let's get that bread. My G's. One day I'll use Photoshop. Whether you use Photoshop or CSP, as somebody who uses both, they are very, very similar to one another. If you want to be more cost effective, use CSP. If you want to use something that's a little more industry standard, use Photoshop. But truth be told, Photoshop is super expensive. I use it because I do like it more than CSP, just because I like the way that it handles. Just a little bit more. But both programs are absolutely phenomenal. I wouldn't trade them for anything. I'm absolutely sure there's no zeitgeist in the fish. Not even a little. I hope not. I am done with my cultural zeitgeist assignment. I handed that in, and I am done with it. I recently got Paint Studio. I'm not too sure. I've never used Paint Studio before. I've heard pretty okay things. I'm not too certain about it though. The snack that smiles back. 100%. Soggy fish crackers. No! No soggy fish crackers, please. Big not fan of soggy fish crackers. The first digital art program I got was Photoshop. Not a good idea. Yeah, no. Do not start with Photoshop. That's something you shouldn't do. I too started with Photoshop, but I started with a 100% definitely 100% legal version that my dad got me. Yes, it was 100% legal as far as you know. Because that is all that I have said. But yeah, I started with a 100% definitely not. Definitely legal. Definitely legal version of Photoshop. Yeah. No offense to Photoshop users. I honestly prefer Medibang over the Adobe Suite. Some people do. I've tried it, could not get into it, crawled back to Medibang. That's okay. A lot of people, if they're switching from something that's a little bit less intense compared to what they started with, definitely have a tougher time getting into other things. Krita users have a tough time getting into anything else, I've found, because Krita is so different compared to everything else. I've had Procreate users not want to get into Clip Studio because they can't stand Clip Studio either. I find that a lot, actually. If you start with something very simple, you end up not liking a lot of the much tougher programs. I have a friend who draws in MS Paint. She's amazing, but she draws in MS Paint. She got the trial for Clip Studio. She couldn't get into it. She hated Clip. But yeah, it definitely depends. It depends on the person, you know. I will always say that it's the artist that makes the art, not the program. So if you like one thing more than the other, I will never hate on you for that. It's okay, Lisa, means you're not ready. When you're ready, the Adobe suite will present itself to you. One day. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. It's up to you. First, our program was Clip Studio Paint, not a mistake. Took a couple weeks to learn, but I'm loving it. Yeah, absolutely. Clip is a great one. Don't start with Photoshop. Normally, I actually would say don't start with Clip either. Clip is very advanced. But it depends on who you are, obviously. Whatever you prefer to use, what you want to get into, that's up to you. I started with a very intensive program, so anything less intense than Photoshop or Clip is too simple for me. It's like when I started using Betty Bang, I'm like, how come there's all these functions missing? I was a very not happy camper when I started using Betty Bang. Just to kind of let you in behind the curtain, kind of give you a look behind the curtain. I was not a happy camper when I started using Betty Bang. But yeah, I'm used to it now. I don't mind. But it definitely, yeah. Can't use Photoshop on my tiny laptop. One brushstroke with texture element. Have 2 kids. Yeah, Photoshop is a very intensive program, so it's a very computer heavy program. I have a very intense gaming PC, so my PC can handle a lot. If you have a bit of a weaker computer, I don't recommend Photoshop at all. Clip Studio is a great different program to switch to. What's the difference between bucket filling and manual coloring? Is bucketing not a good option? Absolutely not. Bucketing is great. I've been bucketing this whole time. The only difference is that bucketing is quicker. Bucketing, however, you also have to fix a lot of things afterwards. You might have to fix a lot of things afterwards. So it is like, it's basically just like how much you're willing to mess up, basically. MS Paint, whoa, impressed. Basically, yeah, I was like, I was like, what do you work with? And she's like, I work in MS Paint. And I'm like, you work in what? I'm like, you barely talked to her. I was like, what do you mean? I use MS Paint as a meme. I don't use it for actual illustration, but you use it for actual illustration. I'm like, you're crazy. I could never. No layers? You're wild. Take the training wheels off and go for CSP. I will turn little girls into men and men into little girls. That sounds like how I make all my OCs. It's not even like I'm unable to switch to other programs. I got into Procreate, MS Paint, Toon Boom. I use MS Paint on top of everything, but Photoshop specifically is awful. Have you tried CSP? You might like Clip Studio then. Some people, because Photoshop is very photo editor heavy. My dad's a photographer, so like I'm much more used to the photo editing aspect of Photoshop. Clip Studio is like the only difference between Clip Studio and Photoshop is that Clip Studio is catered more to illustrators, while Photoshop is catered more to photo editors. So I'm used to Photoshop because of its photo editing capabilities. So you may actually really like Clip Studio then, if you've never tried it before. Clip Studio's an app version. Yeah, the app version, however, is like you have to pay monthly for that, so don't recommend. Looks cool, Jessie. Thank you. Switch to SAI. Free version of Clip. Okay, free version of Clip. I'd say to switch to Clip completely. Like, as somebody who loves those intense, crazy programs. Obviously, again, like I said, not the artist. It's not the artist's fault, whatever you use. It is... Or it's not the program's fault, it's the artist. You know? If you can't use the program, that's fine. You know, use whatever you're comfortable with. But, you know, I will always be a Clip Studio Photoshop endorser. I can't get around no layers. Give every lemon color their own layer. No, absolutely not. I try to work on a very small amount of layers, but yeah, no, I couldn't work with no layers. That's too much. Actually, no, that's not true. I've worked with no layers before. I prefer having layers, but I don't work with no layers. I haven't. It's not like I can't work without them. It's always good to have the like, just in case. Just in case you don't have it, then you have the option as a backup. I didn't realize paint doesn't have any layers. It's like not like an onion at all. No layers. So disappointed. So true. Onions and art have layers. 100%. Unfortunate. Yeah, MS Paint. Shrek would not be happy. I haven't watched Shrek in so long. I only know all the references because of the memes. I should just watch the movie again and see how much I laugh at. Like, considering now my eyes are different. My brain is different compared to when I first watched it. I remember the first time I watched Shrek, actually. I didn't really like it that much. I think it was like, I didn't mind it, but it wasn't like something that I was like, whoa, this is great. I kind of watched it and it freaked me out a little bit, I think. Because I was a little baby when I was younger and I hated everything. If it was even slightly scary, I'd be too scared of it, you know? Shrek also came out when I was very, very young, so I don't really remember it that well. I fear messing up a portion of the drawing, so I separate everything just in case. Never. Sometimes it's like, I'm like, listen, I will brute force it. Again, I started as a traditional artist, so I am very used to not having anything separated. Same with my painting. When I digitally paint, if you've watched the streams before, if you've watched me digitally paint, you know that like you know that I can just like I just merge everything and I'm like, all right, cool, let's go. And then I start painting. I shouldn't have used this kind of green, but I'm like, sometimes I don't get what Medibank's doing. It's like I don't understand what constitutes the colors not showing up in certain areas. Blech, whatever. I don't even know why I'm spending so much time on this little shoe area. It won't be very visible. I need something to blame for my lack of drawing art skill. Like before, I don't have a pen tablet. I always blame it because I didn't have one. Now I have one. The art still looks like trash. That means you gotta practice, my friend. Practice and gain confidence. The more that you tell yourself the art sucks, the more it will suck. Stop telling yourself that. It's a terrible way to approach your work. The best way to think of your artwork is that you are not the best, not the worst. You're not the best, but you're not the worst, and you'll always have room to improve. It keeps you grounded, and it keeps you confident and excited. Jessie got the drip. Shing! So true. This isn't me, but come on, rename the layer. Thank you. Probably desensitized to Shrek by now, probably. Can't run from details, Jessie. The entire world is made up of them. Absolutely. That's why I'm going to be drawing a giant intricate koi on the side of this. You think that I'm done? Absolutely not. I'm not just leaving it like this. You're wild. I love teaching fashion. I really do. It's so much fun to teach folds because the demos are just always fun to draw. The graphic design is my passion guy probably thought that his art was 10 out of 10, and boy was he right. Yeah, he was. He would have gotten nowhere if he doubted himself. Super true. It's always good to have that confidence. Even if, like, it's good to have the confidence, but also to be grounded, you know? Understand that you still have room to improve, but know that you're doing pretty good for yourself. I straight up don't remember how to draw this. Give me a second. Hello, I'm Basil. Welcome in. Working on drawing for the November challenge right now. Excellent. The graphic design is my passion guy probably peaked by making a permanent impression in art culture via their work. Super true. They made a very permanent impression on the art world. Koi design. Why does my eye key do that so much? How do they do these? How did they do these? Okay. Okay, yeah. Alright. That gives me enough information. They made a permanent impression with their work. You know what? I hope that they're happy with that. You know what's a class I hope I never have to take? Is typography. I've never been great. I think I'm like very okay with typography, but I also like I don't understand typography very much. And like part of me is like I should probably take it so I can understand it, but also I don't enjoy it. So I feel like I would not want to take typography. That's what style street fashion this is? This is Tokyo Street. Tokyo Street is known as the genderless fashion. Genderless Tokyo Street, which I am a huge, huge fan of. I think it's really, really cool. Really progressive, really cool, really fun, experimental designs. It's always fun. You know, this is what I always say, though, like, it's fun. It's because I like it when it's fun. Have fun with it. You know what I mean? Just by the way, would you like to join workshops from MSI Include Studio? They want to walk through the drawing gaming laptop. That's fine. I'm all good. I don't have an MSI, so I used to use MSI, but I have switched to HP. I love my Omen. My HP Omen is like the best thing ever. Try not to solicit links as well, please. Yeah, Tokyo streetwear, not techwear. Guys, the Avatar Moon Spirit. So true. I actually haven't watched Avatar. I'm sorry. I'm one of the last people alive who has not watched Avatar. I love the animation style for Avatar, though. It's very, very classic, very fun. I think the same animation studio did the Boondocks. I like the style of that show, too. I've never watched it. I do know what it's about, though. I think. I'm not certain, but I would not be surprised. The styles are very similar. Any tips on how to get a good drawing tablet? I used to have a drawing tablet, didn't work at all. Yeah, generally Wacom and Huion have pretty reliable tablets. Looks like Conan, like the Detective Conan, the anime. Oh man, wow, yeah. I'm using small Wacom Mentos for about 5 years now. Yeah. I have I'm using a Wacom Cintiq. Wacom is considered like the king of, of tablets. Recently though, there are some tablets that have been blowing it out of the water. This is one that's the Canvas, K-A Canvas. That one's been kind of blowing Wacom out of the water a bit. The Canvas is very, very nice. I've never used it, but I've seen reviews and it looks really nice. What else? XP pen is pretty good. I've used a couple XP pens. They're pretty nice. Not too bad, not too shabby. See, normally if I was working a bit stronger with this, I would have had I would have wrapped this more. If I was trying to be a little bit more technical with it, I would have used the liquify, kind of wrapped it a little bit more. Currently, I am just kind of trying to get it finished though. So, not really worried about that. Love the koi fish. Thank you. Yeah, Detective Conan is a little guy though. I think sometimes he has moments where he's a big guy, if I remember correctly. I never watched Detective Conan. American Dragon vibe. Nice catch. Wonder if that manga ended. It's been 20 years. Detective Conan? I'm assuming so. It's pretty old. Um, so that there is no ending for the Conan anime. Is it still going on? I wouldn't know. I've never watched it. It looks cute though. You haven't watched it either. It takes me a while to start a new series. Yeah, for me, it's like I try not to start new series when I have like things that I need to focus on because I will get very obsessed very easily, especially if I like it. Um, so I am trying not to. I'm trying not to really get into anything right now. Hmm. Hmm. So I like it on the one pant leg thing. I'm trying to like this pant leg is kind of bothering me though. So should I do it so it's like the one thing that I really like about Medibang is like how superior its paint bucket is. That it is a very nice paint bucket. Yes? No. No. That color balance is a little bit wacky to me. I'll just leave it then. Okay. This bothers me though. Just leaving that blank. What may have been more balanced is if I did this on the cardi. Maybe. No. Because what would have been better is if I did this right here. Whoopsies. Let's turn down the tolerance to 1. Yeah, is if I did that. Ooh, okay, hang on. Idea? The red's kind of cool, but that doesn't really go with the orange too well. What if I just... Sorry, I'm thinking. If I ever kind of like stop making sense or like go quiet for a bit, it means I'm thinking. Because it's kind of funky with this. But I feel like I would need to make the entire thing like that. Because this is too close in value right now. The stream is almost over. Yeah, it is almost over. I'm gonna have to speed it up a bit. Oh, there we go. Just a little bit higher. Let's go. Ugh, you know what? Yeah, no. This is gonna go a bit over time. Oh well. Hopefully you're alright with that. Lovely admin team. I'm gonna try to speed it up a little bit though. Realized I was planning to make Mr. Mosquito Man fan art. Go for it. For those who don't know, Mr. Mosquito Man is a creature that I drew for the Halloween stream, which was creature design. So now everybody who's a regular references Mr. Mosquito Man all the time. Kind of limiting it to just the sleeves. the design is going to get warped because of the bunching and the gathering. Yeah, because Tokyo Street's supposed to be a little bit weird. That's my excuse, is that it's supposed to be a little bit weird, so I'm not I'm not balancing it out quite as crazily. Tekken looking good though. Still able to be here, so I do not need to give you the reins. Super true. It's pretty good. Thank you. Yeah, okay. I'll leave it for now. I'll fix it in a bit if I start to get very annoyed with it. But just in case, I will just do my shading real quick. This is the quick shading method because I do not have the time to do this non-quickly. Just trying to adjust the size off to the side. And I'm late. That's okay. We're gonna go a little bit over time for this one, so you'll at least get the end of it, Marlene. It's over. Technically, it's over, but I am going just a smidge overtime. My apologies. I will try to make this quick. I'm only saying my apologies because of the lovely team that are modding right now. Going just a smidge overtime. I remember once we went like 40 minutes overtime. I felt so bad. I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, trying not to do too overtime, but definitely needing to do a bit of overtime. Light source coming from the top left. Yeah, I'm kind of saying that the light source is coming kind of up from top right, actually, kind of up here-ish. For those wondering about light sources, there are two different kinds of shadows that you can think of majorly. You got to think of a light source shadow, and then shadows that are just there because of proximity, not necessarily because of light source. In terms of this right here, kind of inside the sleeve here, this is due to proximity, not because of light source. Those have names. I think it's a cast shadow, but I always call it the I call it with the game artist's term. That's ambient occlusion, and those are the shadows that are kind of baked in because of proximity of objects. All right, we're almost done. Almost done. Just gonna add a bit of subsurface just to make this look a little bit more lifelike. Again, I use all the game artist's terms. I know that these have like proper traditional artist terms, but I'm like, I learned them in game art school, so I only know the game art terms. It's like they either have traditional artist terms or they have game art terms, or they have scientific terms or whatnot. It's like I know the terms because of game art, so I only know the game art terms. Now I'll know the traditional art terms as well because of the school that I go to, but that may take a while till they finally introduce the more advanced stuff to me. All right, let me just put this background in real quick, which is just gonna be a solid color. Yeah, because of all that orange, the blue will be a somewhat of a contrast to the cyan. Okay. Oh, is this an OC? That's just a dude. Always happy to fill in when the stream is in a crisis. We're all good. All right. That's going to do it for this stream. Thank you so much for joining, y'all. All right, we went 4 minutes over time. That's not too bad. I'm going to doing a bit of cropping and fixing this after stream, but that's okay. Again, if you have never been to the studio before, never heard of us, never touch down on us. Welcome in, first of all. Second of all, if you don't know too much, it's not just me. I say studio because there's a ton of us. We are an art studio. We are an art school. So if you'd like to check out the classes that we offer, be sure to check them out on our website at voidcanvas.com. Over there, you'll be able to, see the classes that we offer. Winter camps are coming up. I'm teaching a teen intensive class if you'd like to join me for illustration for a week, or join any of the other instructors. We'll also be teaching comics and manga. I believe this is going to be a game art one. There's going to be a figure drawing one. So if you'd like to join for those classes, be sure to check those out. If you would like this file in front of you, along with the lesson that we learned earlier today, will be available on the Discord as JPEGs if you'd like to find them. So if you'd like to join the Discord, be sure to do that. Link is in the description. And lovely, what's her name? Lovely Lisa will, sorry. Oh my god. Lovely Lisa will make those pop up. But yeah. Those will pop up. But if you'd like my layers, there are quite a few layers in this one. If you'd like all my layers, see how I work, you're going to have to join our Patreon for as little as $5 a month. You'll get my working files and behind the scenes little sections where you can get a peek behind the curtain. What goes on here at Wing Canvas. But yeah. All right, what are we doing next week? I just uploaded a bunch of new streams. I believe next week is going to be a new, what is it? Variety. So we're going to be doing another Principle of Design streams. If you'd like to join for that, be here next week. We'll give you notice. But yeah, y'all, thank you so much for joining. I'll see y'all next week. Bye-bye.